It was 2:15 p.m. on a sweltering August afternoon in 2022, and a 19-year-old Michael Henderson, better known to the streets of St. Louis as the rapper CTS LUH, was riding his mini bike through the south side of the city with his friends. What he didn't know was that in the next few minutes, he would be fighting for his life in a deadly road rage shootout that would turn him from an up-and-coming local rapper into a national news story. Because soon after, a white Jeep going in the opposite direction would suddenly make a U-turn and start following LUH. The Jeep pulled up next to WICK, and soon things would go terribly wrong, as WICK would drive his motorcycle in front of the Jeep and turn his gun towards the car, opening fire. The driver, 42-year-old Joseph Raymond Shaw, was struck in the forehead by a bullet, taking his life instantly, while his Jeep would then spin off the road and crash near the intersection of Broadway and Nebraska Avenue. Meanwhile, LUH would also crash his motorcycle before fleeing the scene on foot, unaware that surveillance cameras had just captured everything and that his life was about to change forever. Before this fateful day, LUH had been born and raised on the streets of Southside St. Louis, where he eventually also attended Roosevelt High School before dropping out in 9th grade. This decision would ultimately lead him not only towards the music that would define his young life, but also make him another kid lost in the treacherous streets of St. Louis, with WICK himself revealing during his No Jumper interview just how early his relationships with guns and violence began, where he claimed that he'd been carrying guns since he was only 10 years old.
Did you feel the need to get a gun at 10? Like, motherfuckers just started jumping people and shit like that. Like, it went from fighting to jumping to, you know, motherfuckers going getting their own guns and shit.
By 13, things would escalate as WICK would get booked for his first shooting, establishing a pattern that would follow him throughout his teenage years.
I got booked for an assault first degree when I was a juvenile. I was like 13 or 14. Yeah, I had to shoot somebody. They was waving the gun. I was just walking down the street. It was this grown dude. And he like, you grinning at? And I'm like, huh? And he instantly get the waving his little gun and I instantly up blick on him. He like, you ain't gonna blow that motherfucker, white boy. You ain't gonna blow that motherfucker, white boy. I just get the blowing at his ass, and I got booked for that. That's when I first even found out what self-defense was.
A few years later, LUH would start his rap career at the age of 15, slowly crafting the persona that would eventually make him a standout in St. Louis's drill scene.
Got me rapping and shit, and they was fucking with it. We turned up on that. And what age is this when you start rapping? I want to say like 15.
Around this time, WICK would also seemingly begin experiencing losses to the streets, with one of the hardest being the death of his friend Jody, who would be killed in a shooting. At this point, WICK had become affiliated with the local gang set known as 70 CTS, CTS standing for both Courtois Street or Certified Trap Stars, with the gang being located far in the south side. His set would also be affiliated with several other sets and cliques, such as the clique known as the Valet Gang, with members from the hood known as 43 Gib, from the 4300 block of Gibson Avenue, known for rappers like Wanky G, and a clique known as the Artillery Gang, whose most famous member is a rapper known as Esco Jammin from the hood 5053, or simply the 50, in North St. Louis. In 2021, WICK began to drop numerous music videos, and while it's not clear how much attention these videos were getting at the time, WICK would immediately catch people off guard, being one of the few white drill rappers coming out of St. Louis. But don't let his skinny frame fool you, this is a dangerous young man. He can be seen toting guns and rapping about shooting people in numerous of his songs and videos. In fact, he likely reminded many fans of a white drill rapper who went viral a few years earlier called Slim Jesus. However, Slim Jesus notoriously lost all his aura after admitting that he wasn't really a savage in the streets like he portrayed in his music. However, CTS LUH was the real deal and really rapping about his real life in the streets where he had just caught a body. Soon he would begin to catch some attention online, like in the St. Louis drill subreddit, where someone would post a picture of WICK toting a Draco together with members of the Valet Gang and Artillery Gang, with one user commenting how he must be either the plug or really about it, to which another user would comment how WICK looked like he really had some bodies. However, what would really start to get WICK some attention was his appearance in the YouTuber Tommy G's 2022 vlog about the gangs of St. Louis, where Tommy would pull up to Ruskin Avenue to film with the Artillery Gang, with a young WICK also making a cameo.
Oh my god.
What's up, fellas?
How's it going, boss?
Alright. Fellas, where are we at right now?
Ruskin Ave with it, man.
In the video, the whole group can be seen showing off guns while claiming they were just protecting the neighbors.
What do you think the neighbors feel about this? Are neighbors scared to go outside?
They think it's cool because they feel like they well protected type shit. They rather have some guns over here than not have no guns over here.
WICK would also get to talk to Tommy, revealing that he was only 17 years old at the time of this video.
How old are you guys?
This exposure would help launch his profile in the STL drill scene, and his song Smash, which he had released exactly 1 month before the release of Tommy's vlog, now sits at almost 2 million views. But just a month later, in August, none of that mattered, because LUH would get involved in the shooting that killed Joseph Shaw and fled the scene, becoming a wanted man in his hometown. According to a Views from the Arch interview with WICK himself, he wasn't exactly on the run, but he was was actively ducking the cops, explaining how he was using the time to actually try and find a good lawyer.
I gotta get a lawyer. Like that, you know? I gotta get a lawyer. Yeah. Cause I wasn't finna go on a run. I ain't finna go on the screen for that shit. You gonna get caught. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm finna chill. I'm finna eat good for a second. Like I was ducking that. I wasn't on the run though, but I was ducking that. You know? I was ducking the police like a motherfucker.
A few months later, he was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action, facing the possibility of life in prison. On paper, the prosecution had what looked like a slam-dunk case, as surveillance cameras had captured the entire incident. But when the case went to trial in January 2024, LUH would recount how he and a few friends had been riding their mini bikes around the city when Shaw's white Jeep had made a U-turn and started following them, before pulling up next to him, the two exchanging some heated words before the Jeep's occupant pulled out a gun, causing WICK to speed off. But only seconds later, he would hear gunshots and pull out his own weapon, returning fire in self-defense. While the prosecution would claim that there simply wasn't enough time shown on the surveillance video for these events to have occurred in the way that WICK claimed, he would go on to beat the case and be found not guilty on both first-degree murder and armed criminal action charges. WICK would get back to freedom, and with a legal body to rap about, he would jump headfirst into the drill scene to take advantage of his new image as St. Louis's biggest demon, dropping a music video titled First Day Out in February 2024, about a month after his not guilty verdict. The song and music video would see WICK rapping about shooting people through their windshields, and he would state that if labels want to sign him, now it's going to cost them about $10 million. The track would go on to rack up almost 2 million views in about a year, proving that his legal victory had somehow transformed him from a local STL rapper into a household name, and he had literally lived out the scenarios that he had rapped about and walked away to tell the tale. But CTS LUH's legal victory didn't end the conflicts in his life, which had long been brewing in the background, as the YouTuber STL rap videos would later break down on his channel. Esco Jammin, the rapper from Ruskin Avenue in North St. Louis, where Tommy G had filmed his vlog with Artillery Gang, had been collaborating with WICK in the past on several songs, and it seemed like they'd become genuine friends. However, things would begin to go left after the Tommy G video, as it would turn out that the police had actually launched an investigation into a slew of car break-ins spanning from Amazon warehouses to children's hospitals all over Metro St. Louis.
Overnight, police responded to calls for car break-ins in two major facilities that looked a lot like this. Car windows bashed in with glass everywhere. This happening at the Amazon warehouse in St. Charles, and then here at the Rankin Jordan Pediatric Center in Maryland Heights.
This would result in the arrest of multiple people, including WICK's right-hand man, CTS T4, who was now facing dozens of felony counts for everything from property damage to gun theft, and would later be slammed with a 5-year sentence. Shortly after, LUH would also get locked up for the Shaw shooting, leaving guys like Esco to hold things down while he fought for his freedom behind bars. But from LUH's perspective, Esco wasn't doing enough to support him during the darkest period of his life, while also moving wrong out in the streets.
It ain't really too serious, motherfuckers. It's a lot of shit. Motherfuckers wasn't hitting my books. Motherfuckers was moving wrong.
Word.
I'm hearing motherfuckers they're popping perks and shit.
However, the final straw allegedly came when accusations of snitching entered the picture. During the car theft investigation, someone had allegedly given police incriminating information, and fingers started pointing at a member called Len Steppedy, a family member of Esco's crew. LUH would quickly sever ties with everyone connected to the alleged snitching, including Esco. And by the time LUH beat his murder case and got released, the two former friends who had built their careers together had become bitter enemies. T4, who has since gotten out on parole after doing 50% of his sentence, would open up about the beef and the snitching that led to it in his interview with Nick O'Neill Media.
Man, I see Discovery and shit, man. He like, yeah, man, I was downtown, you know what I'm saying? Like, I called my mom and my people there for a ride, and they sent Thomas, you know what I'm saying? That's me, that's my last name. They sent Thomas me, and I ain't know the car was stolen, I ain't know the guns was stolen, shit like that. Ooh, they asked me how the guns came to my crib. I said my friends had it, you know what I'm saying? Just saying shit that implicated that I was there. You know what I'm saying?
Identified him as the driver of the stolen car.
On bro. First off, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you could just shut the fuck up.
You could just shut the fuck up. Man. I've been through the whole time I was locked up, no bullshit.
Been winning with us.
Esco, on the other hand, would respond to T4's version during his interview by saying that the reasons for the beef were much deeper than that, but he didn't want to get into it.
Oh, we don't fuck with them. That's about it.
It's like everything that like bro came on here and saying, it's like true about like what he was saying. But goddamn me, it's like more like it's more to the story. Goddamn me, it's more to the story.
It's more deeper than that.
Yeah, it's more deeper than that.
You know?
Yeah.
Because of this beef, Esco and WICK would begin trading shots on social media, with Esco pulling up to WICK's hood and taunting him on his IG story.
Scared.
Where's one down?
Scared.
Hold on, stop right here.
Scared. Yeah. Cause out here playing. Yeah. Out here playing. Look. They just posted like they spent through her, gang. They spent through her. They spent through her all day long.
He would also diss another CTS member in a very disrespectful way by posting a freaky photo of his sister, and even releasing a song and music video titled CTSK or CTS Killer, where he would take numerous shots at CTS LUH, starting by saying how WICK knows that Esco has been about that life, but now that WICK has one confirmed body, he's acting like he invented killing, while also claiming that WICK was just mad about the fact that Esco was making money while WICK was still broke despite all the media attention. But WICK's beefing wasn't just contained to St. Louis either, as he would notably participate in dissing the deceased Chicago rapper Bloodhound Lil Jeff in a vlog, while his friend would shout out Bloodhound's Ops, a gang from Chicago called the 9-5 Mob. So far, Lil WICK has made good moves with the cards that he's been dealt, and if he can stay focused on the music now and leave the street politics behind, he could really go far. His musical catalogue is really impressive, with 2 full-length mixtapes, Facing Life and Life of a Trap Star. WICK delivers really aggressive and high-energy drill raps over hard beats with a level of energy and rage that verges into punk rock at times. I feel like the energy of CTS LUH's music does kind of remind me a little bit of Lil Jeff, but with a slightly more Midwestern Southern vibe. But you can't live like Lil Jeff and rap about it for too long. So I hope that at this point in his life, CTS LUH has distanced himself from the streets and focused more on business and music. Because if he keeps getting pulled back into these street beefs, it's likely only a matter of time before he finds himself right back where he was last time, or even worse. LUH has managed to become one of the most buzzing artists in the world of St. Louis gangster rap, all off the back of his case, and he's a legend in the city just like 30 Deep Grimy. But elsewhere in St. Louis, the newest and most dangerous generation of drill rappers are now battling for who gets to be the next big artist to come up out of the streets. But for even some of the most buzzing new rappers, being so close to a gang at war can bring your life and career to an abrupt halt at any moment. And one of the craziest situations to happen in the city saw a shootout between 2 warring gangs, where 2 of the most famous rappers on both sides of the war tragically ended up in a shootout, taking both of each other's lives at the same time.